we aren't going through the Melbourne television repeater tonight because it seems to be off air. I don't know why, but the ATV repeater isn't functioning at the moment, so there's no TV repeater. But we do have a YouTube stream which is just fired up again right now, and hopefully it will not fall over again for the next hour or so. And if you have Discord capabilities, you should be able to see my HD channel via Discord as well. And I think that's working. I can see myself there, but I'm not 100% sure if the sound is there. Normally with the Discord, I get a little indication of audio, but I don't seem to see that. So I'm not really sure if that's got sound on it tonight. Just a sec. I'm going to check with my back channel. VK3 VRS, VK3 CSJ. I'll get a quick confirmation through my back channel. He's not there. No, he's gone off to make a cup of coffee. All right, no worries. If somebody could let me know if there's any audio on the Discord side of things, I'll be happy. So the people on Discord right now, I can see Steve, VK3SPX, Kim, VK5FUSE, and Kim and Steve. So it's a little quiet on the Discord right now. You guys should be able to see my HD channel running. It should be just there. Okay. What was I going to say? There's something else there too. Yes. Email vk3ekh at gmail.com. vk3ekh@gmail.com. I am able to see that. Yes, there it is. And all right, we've got an email from Steve. He says, I'm already 15 to 20 over 9. Good signal, albeit lower than usual. Yeah, the amplifier's on, but I have turned it down a fraction because of the modem falling over. So, but I am putting a little bit more watts out than I was last week. It's up to 200 at the moment. So it's a little bit more. G'day, Wayne. I can see Wayne's there too. He's in the field tonight. Will be a bit nippy. He's got a shocking noise level on 80 meters still, but I'm a little bit above it. So okay, all right. Fair enough. Yeah, okay, -1 degree here. Yeah, I can hear those brass monkeys rattling. Thanks, Wayne. All right, so, okay. Let's get a move along, a jig along. I just get my vMix all set up here. All right, well, as I said in the onset there, it's our solstice weekend, so it's been the shortest day and probably the coldest day. Feels like the coldest. It's been pretty horrible, isn't it? Okay. Let's see. The first thing, it's probably going to be a nice short broadcast tonight, so that's fine by me. First article that I found tonight, which looked interesting to talk about, courtesy of astronomy.com. Mysterious cloverleaf, odd radio circle, could be a merger of a dozen galaxies. This was published just yesterday. Astronomers may be a step closer to figuring out how ORCs are birthed and balloon to their light years long sizes. ORCs, odd radio circle, I guess that is. In 2020, when astronomers using the Australian Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder ASCAP discovered ghostly circles of radio emissions in the sky that are so gigantic they surpassed our Milky Way's size tenfold, and so far no known cosmic phenomenon could explain how they came to existence and what they even are. The supremely inflated profiles of the gigantic circles didn't agree with circular features otherwise common in radio images, such as the shell of material shed by a dying star or a face on view of a dusty protoplanetary disk. They are unlike anything mentioned in previous studies, and because the handful of bizarre objects could be seen by more than one telescope at different times and wavelengths, astronomers ruled out the possibility that they were banal artifacts presented in telescopic raw data. Due to the mysterious origin of the enormous space rings and brevity, the Discovery team dubbed them as odd radio circles, or ORCs. And there's an image here that I'll bring up of that. Didn't I bring that across? Looks like I didn't bring it across. Which image is this anyway? It's that one there. Yeah, I should have that there. Hang on a sec. Let me just bring that up. Image. Browse. That one there. Open that. Do that. And there it is. Okay. This is the image that they're talking about. Radio image. So what you're seeing there on the screen right now is a mosaic of the cloverleaf radio emission in multiple wavelengths, visible light observations from the DESI, or Dark Energy Spectroscopic Instrument, Legacy Survey in white and yellow, X-ray from XMM, Newton in blue, and radio from ASCAP in red. So yeah, okay. So it's a mixed wavelength image, that one. Again, okay. So it's a what they call the cloverleaf radio emission in multiple wavelengths, visible light observations. The Dark Energy Spectroscopic Instrument Legacy Survey is in white and yellow. X-rays are in blue and radio are in red in this image on the screen. So 4 more such bizarre radio circles recently turned up in newer ASCAP data and in images gathered by South Africa's Meerkat radio telescope, including an intriguing ORC with a double-lobed feature. With such a limited dataset of ORCs, prying their origins is difficult for astrophysicists who are struggling to understand the physical processes that could possibly produce such a massive rings of emission. I would say we are really at the beginning of understanding these kinds of systems, says Mr. Zhang of the Max Planck Institute for Extraterrestrial Physics in Germany. There's actually a little GIF image here too, which I didn't bring that across either. Okay, hang on a second. Let me just bring that GIF image here across. It would be my video file, video broadcast, and it's somewhere in there. Where is it? There's a GIF image that I placed. Oh, I can't see it. All right, I thought I saved it, but looks like I didn't. Let me have a look in here. No, okay. Looks like I didn't. All right, just bear with me for a second. I'll see if I can dig up this image. Save as a GIF image in videos, broadcast. I think that's it there, actually. So I did bring it across. Stand by while I bring this GIF image of this animation into view. Video up there. Oh my goodness me. Okay, I think this is it. Sorry about this, ladies and gentlemen. Just trying to get this. Oh my goodness. Now what have I done? Dear. Okay, sorry about this. I've just gone to full screen and I don't know why that has happened. Why is that doing that? Oh my goodness me. Dear. Alright. Somehow I have... That's better. Alright, is this it? Yes, finally. Okay. Oh my goodness me. Alright. And I'll put a loop on that so it repeats for a bit. Alright, so what you're seeing on the screen right now, this artist's concept shows an odd radio circle exploding outward from its galaxy, passing through neighbouring galaxies. So it's what they refer to as a lucky four-leaf clover. The article continues to say that in a new study, Zhang and his colleagues proposed the origin of one such radio circle dubbed the cloverleaf, which resides about 600 million light years from Earth and spans over 100 kiloparsecs. The Milky Way is about 30 kiloparsecs across. Based on observations gathered by the European Space Agency, the Newton telescope, the researchers say that cloverleaf may have been created by two groups of galaxies that gravitated toward each other and are in the midst of a messy merger. The galaxy group seems to host at least a dozen galaxies as old as the universe that are in varying levels of disfiguration. Although just how many are in each group remains unclear. It's possible that the merger created shockwaves that accelerated fossil cosmic ray particles within the galaxies, which would have created the observed radio emission. Zhang and his team reported in a paper published late April in the journal Astronomy and Astrophysics Letters. If the findings pan out, astronomers will have gotten a step closer to figuring out how ORCs are birthed and balloon to their light years across size. The fact that we are one of the first groups to suggest some origin, of course we are very happy about that, says study lead author Ursa Babul of MPE. We're excited by the prospect of what these observations really mean, but there are still lots of open questions that would like to answer. For instance, galaxy mergers frequently occur without any associated ORCs recorded, so it's important to pin down what creates the galaxy groups that produce cloverleaf unique, says Babul. Given that there are only a handful of known ORCs, any explanation for their presence must also explain their rarity in general. And that's the question we're trying to answer. Babul and her team pored over the data from German-Russian extended Roentgen survey with an imaging telescope array, space telescope, which collected X-ray radiation from the entire sky from 2019 until February 2022. Observations were paused to protest Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Based on just 7 minutes of observations, the team spotted something, but it wasn't really a detection, says Babul. To learn more, the researchers gathered a little more than 5 hours of data from the XMM Newton last year. This allowed them to probe large swaths of the sky much deeper than the E Rosetta ever could. As soon as I got the observations, I sent them to Zhang, recalls Babul. The next morning I asked him, "So did you have a look at it?" To my surprise, he said, "Yes, it's a detection." The XMM Newton data basically proved that as much as 700 billion solar masses worth of hot gas wafted among the dozen galaxies, explains Zhang. The gas reaches temperatures around 15 million degrees Fahrenheit, offering the kind of environment where cosmic rays are accelerated. "We really got lucky," Zhang said in a NASA statement. "It turns out that the E Rosetta sources could have been from the cloverleaf, but it wasn't compelling enough to get us to take a closer look. The source of the energetic cosmic rays themselves is currently unknown. It's possible that they are created when supermassive black holes lurk at galaxy centers underwent bursts of extreme activity, according to Kim Weaver, the project scientist for XMM Newton at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland, who was not involved in the study. Perhaps the relic electrons from the ancient activity were re-accelerated by this merging event, she said in a NASA statement. So what defines an ORC? Not everyone is convinced, however, that Cloverleaf checks off all boxes that conventionally define an ORC. Ray Norris, an astrophysicist at the Western Sydney University in Australia, who spearheaded the discovery of the first ORCs using ASCAP in 2020, says Cloverleaf lacks predominant telltale brightening at the edges of the radio emission normally associated with celestial oddballs. They have found a diffuse cloud of radio emission with some structure in it, says Norris. Interesting, but not an ORC. He noted astronomers are starting to see many structures like the cloverleaf in galaxy groups, not all of which represent an ORC. A team led by Norris in 2022 narrowed the origins of ORCs to 3 scenarios. They could be due to leftovers of huge explosions at galaxy centers, such as those sparked by merging black holes, or energetic particles pumped by jets from black holes, or the products of shock waves merged from burst of a star's birth in a galaxy. We need better data and to get rid of the wannabe ORCs to distinguish between these models, says Norris. Deeper observations in both radio and X-ray wavelengths, which can reveal nuanced structures of gases wafting in the ORCs, should shed more light on the origin of cloverleaf and other catalogued ORCs, said Zhang. We stand to learn a lot more, through observations, because these interactions take in all kinds of science, Weaver said in NASA statement. We've pretty much got everything that we deal with in the cosmos put together in a little package. It's like a mini universe, she says. Okay, so just in case you've forgotten what ORC stands for, it stands for Odd Radio Circles. Odd Radio Circles. And, of course, the animation has been running on the screen there to give you a bit of an idea of what all that was about. So unbelievable as it may seem. All right, so that article was in astronomy.com under the news tab, published June 20. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3EKH. In fact, we might be able to run our little ID here. Let's see if that works for us. Hang on a sec.
You're tuned to VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast coming to you from the studios of VK3CSJ in Narre Warren South.
Right, thank you, Ralph. It's good to see that some things work. Okay, we're broadcasting 3541 kilohertz, and we're also running a YouTube stream, which you can find under my call sign, VK3CSJ. Just look for the live indication. And also we have a HD stream running associated with the Discord medium format platform, whatever you want to call it. Let me just check emails. We have Dave listening here. Not so good on YouTube tonight, but all good on 80 meters. Pictures are lacking a bit on HF. Pictures are lacking a bit on HF. Yes, that's why I have run the stream. If that's what I gather you're talking about today. Yeah, I hope the audio's actually. I haven't checked if the audio's okay on YouTube. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm not clipping the audio, so audio level on YouTube should be right, and certainly on Discord, audio good on Discord. Okay, thanks, Steve. That's good to know. So yes, there's the HD stream on Discord is running. So if you haven't got Discord, it's just a matter of typing in Discord and registering. There's no payment involved. It's just simply a matter of registering, and then type in astronomy chat room. Look for astronomy chat room, and then associated with the astronomy chat room is the HD channel. It's all very easy because I can do it from here, but from somebody that starts out for the first time, I suspect it would be tricky. Anyway, and I think it would be tricky. So I shall plug the HD stream on YouTube for quite a while until people get a feel for it. And in fact, if you're listening there, Richard, if I can provide a link to that I can email to people, that might help too. All right, next on the scheme of things, let me settle into tonight because I'm all over the place. I can just sense this. At 10:28 already, goodness me. Okay, also from astronomy.com is an article called "A Distant Black Hole Rewakens and Astronomers Watch It Happen." Now we have an image here, which I did bring across, and maybe I didn't. I don't know what have I been doing tonight, Clint, honestly. Let me just pick up this image. I've forgotten to bring across into vMix. Image, pictures. This one here. I thought I brought it across, but clearly I didn't. All right, back to the video article. There is a couple of videos associated with that, but I won't worry about them. All right, a distant black hole rewakens and astronomers watch it happen. Renewed energy streaming from an active galaxy provides astronomers with a high-energy mystery to explore in multi-wavelength detail. At the centre of an average Joe galaxy, 300 million light-years away, something has just happened that has astronomers at the edge of their seats. Suddenly, a supermassive black hole is inhabiting the centre of a distant galaxy has come to life. The galaxy, which is titled SDSS 1335 plus 0728, is otherwise unremarkable, and even the supermassive black hole at the centre is of average mass, about 10 million times that of the Sun. But a new research paper on the galaxy published in Astronomy and Astrophysics could provide key insights into supermassive black holes and why they occasionally roar back to life. At this moment, we are not sure about the explanation, but there are different options that we are managing to explain the data. Supermassive black holes occasionally experience tidal disruption events. These occur when matter approaches them and can't escape the gravity, slowly becoming torn apart and swallowed. But those usually take the place on the timescale of weeks or months, not years, and should at some point start to slowly dim. While whatever is causing the current event has only grown brighter. If the present observation represented such an event, this would be the longest tidal disruption event ever seen. And the picture on the screen right now, again, this is an artist's impression that shows two stages in the formation of a disk of gas and dust around the massive black hole at the centre of the galaxy. The core of this galaxy lit up in 2019 and keeps brightening today. The first time we observe a massive black hole becomes active in real time. So we've slightly got a before and after image in that screen there. Supermassive black holes occasionally experience tidal disruption events. Okay, I just read that. Okay, that article's almost finished, actually. The scientists proposes the current observation could represent a dormant and reactive later, but what triggers the process isn't well understood. If this is the case, astronomers have the perfect front row seat to find out. What can fall in toward a black hole and awaken it? The event could be caused by a passing star or stars, or a large complex of gas. But in this case, something is happening that is creating a slow, drawn-out process. Because the current event has lasted so long, astronomers have been able to observe it in different wavelengths of light. For instance, astronomers at the European Southern Observatory observed it in optical wavelengths, while others captured it in ultraviolet and X-ray wavelengths, ideal for watching the intense events at the core of the galaxy at their most energetic outbursts. Just 4 years after its discovery, changes already have been seen in the X-ray part of the spectrum, offering a tantalizing mystery. The most interesting behavior right now is behaving in the X-rays, where we are starting to see the variations that are happening in the nucleus. We also got new radio observations that are under analysis, so we will have more interesting news soon. So there's a couple of videos associated with that article too, which I didn't bother to download. But that article is called "A Distant Black Hole Reawakens," and astronomers watch it happen in real time. So, well, more or less. So that's courtesy of astronomy.com. Okay, now there's no picture associated with this one, so I shall just run my camera. And China selects fourth batch of astronaut candidates as part of the 2030 moon landing goal, published 2 days ago. The 10 candidates include the first ever from Hong Kong and Macao, M-A-C-A-O. Marcio. China has selected 10 new astronauts for training as part of its goal to put a crew on the moon by 2030. The country's Human Spaceflight Agency announced last week. The latest batch includes 8 pilots and 2 payload experts, according to China Manned Space Engineering Office, or CMSEO. They are set to receive about 2 years of training at the Astronaut Center of China in Beijing, after which they will become eligible for crewed missions to the Tiangong Space Station in low Earth orbit. The newly selected astronaut candidates will be tasked with conducting science experiments, including inside the Tiangong Station, and also fulfilling the nation's manned missions to the moon. While all 39 of China's previously selected astronauts were former Air Force pilots, the latest batch for the first time includes pilots from Ground Force and Navy wings of the People's Liberation Army. The newly selected 10 were picked from a pool of 120 applicants following 3 rounds of tests related to physical and psychological skills, according to China Daily. The agency added that the newly selected astronauts are among those who may set foot on the moon in 2030. In February, Assistant Mr. I don't know how you pronounce it, assistant to the director of CMSA told local media that the technical proposal for the launch and lunar landing site and the development of the Long March 10 rocket, we're getting ready for action. There it is. So, yes, looks like China is definitely ramping up to head back to the moon. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3EKH, and in just a moment I shall fire up the short video from Tamitha, so stand by for a solar report from our Space Weather Woman. Probably the only successful thing tonight. What's this? Yeah, okay, all right. Now I should have brought these images across, so hopefully this is the next image to bring up on the screen right now as I speak. Courtesy of ScienceAlert.com. Rare sky explosion coming soon. A once-in-a-lifetime event visible to the naked eye, 19th of June. And what you're seeing on the screen then is yet another artist's impression of a classical nova. Sometime in the next few months, a spectacle could light up in the northern sky. Here or there, in the Corona Borealis constellation at a distance of more than 2,500 light years, a star called T Corona Borealis lurks, building up to an explosion that will temporarily cause the star to become one of the brightest objects in the night sky. Astronomers are on tenterhooks waiting for this thing to blow, not just because it will be amazing, but for the wealth of data we'll be able to collect on a type of star explosion called a classical nova. The reasons we know T Corona Borealis, or TCRB for short, is going to explode is because it has done so once every 80 years for at least 8 centuries. This means that it is very close to a once-in-a-lifetime event, and that the technology we have to observe it now vastly outstrips what we had during its last excursion back in February 1946. There are a few recurrent nova with very different or very short cycles, but typically we don't often see a repeated outburst in human lifetime, and rarely one so relatively close to our solar system or to our own system. It's incredibly exciting to have this front row seat, not to be confused with the near obliteration of stars in the cataclysmic explosions known as supernova. Classical nova are smaller explosions that leave the star more or less intact. In fact, this is far from the first time this particular cosmic object has gone through this experience. And there is a short animation here which should work. I can bring that across, and there it is, it's running. Okay, so getting back to the starry. Not to be confused, yes, I've read that. The reasons TCRB explodes repeatedly and on schedule is a quirk of the type of star it is. It's a binary star system that contains the remnant collapsed core of a sun-like star called a white dwarf and a puffy red giant companion. White dwarfs are very small and very dense, between the size of Earth and the Moon, packing into the size as much mass as 1.4 suns. That means that they are pretty gravitationally intense, and if they have a binary companion in a close enough orbit, they tend to siphon off material, predominantly hydrogen. Over time, this hydrogen accumulates on the surface of the white dwarf, compressed down due to the gravitational pull. Eventually, the pressure and heat on the bottom layer of hydrogen becomes so intense that the whole thing ignites in a runaway thermonuclear explosion that violently expels the excess hydrogen out into space in spectacular style. That's the nova, and for TCRB, the length of time this process takes is about 80 years or so. Over the last decade, astronomers have observed the binary system exhibiting behaviour similar to how it behaved leading up to the 1946 explosion, specifically a dip in brightness that heralds the close approach of an eruption. Their analysis suggests that it could occur very soon, as early as before September 2024. This means that astronomers are keeping a very close eye on a little patch of sky clustered with the constellations Lyra, Hercules, and Bootes, and a little arc of stars sandwiched between them that's called the Corona Borealis. Corona Borealis. And there's a star chart here. Now, this star chart, I haven't confirmed exactly, but this might be predominantly... no, I think we should be able to see this here. I think this range of stars, Hercules. Don't we see this constellation here, guys? I think we do. Stevie might like to confirm them. I mean, I'm seeing Lyra and Vega, and I know that's a constellation we see here. Hercules, yeah, I'm pretty sure at some time of the year it might be visible at nighttime sky. Could be wrong though. But anyway, they're talking about the northern sky, but it may be visible here. I'll see if I can confirm that. The article finishes off by saying that we expect that we'll hear about the nova pretty much as soon as it happens. It will bloom in the sky to become visible to the naked eye, then gradually fade from visibility over the course of a week. So you should have time to get out there and have a look at it if that strikes your fancy. In fact, if you can, that would be amazing. The citizen scientists are being called upon to collect data too. The more eyes there are on TCRB, the better we'll be able to understand its flashy outbursts. And of course, there will be many telescopes tuning in as can be arranged, from the longest radio wavelengths to the most powerful X and gamma radiation. Recurrent novae are unpredictable and contrarian, says astrophysicist Kojai Mukai of NASA's Goddard. He says, when you think there can't possibly be a reason they follow a certain set pattern, they do. And as soon as you start to rely on them repeating the same pattern, they deviate from it completely. So they're all waiting to see what TCRB behaves in the next few months. Interesting. We'll have to find out more about that one. I would love to see a supernova in my lifetime, and this will be interesting to see if we actually can see it down here in the southern hemisphere. All right, this is VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. All right, bring up my other camera. Now let's key up Tamitha, and where's my picture? Get her little picture there on the screen. Oh my God, I'm having all sorts of problems here tonight. All right, there's Tamitha's cartoon caricature. This is what she thinks she looks like, and and she does to some degree. All right, where is the video? Where are you, Tamitha? I know I've got you here. There it is. All right. Please stand by for Dr. Tamitha Scove's latest space weather report published about 18 hours ago. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3EKH.
Earth dodges some small solar storm bullets on the front side, while on the far side of the sun, region 3697 is at it again. Those stories and more are in this week's Spotlight. The sun has us in hurry up and wait mode this week. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, you can see there really isn't a lot of activity in Earth view. We have the big players, region 3712 and then region 3716. Those are the ones that are giving us the most trouble, along with region 3713. In fact, on the 17th, you can see region 3712 fires off an M-class flare right there. And if you weren't paying attention, you might have thought that this big halo, this asymmetric halo, actually came from this region, because it happened around the same time, along with this other halo that you can see here. This is actually the one that occurred almost simultaneously with this big M flare. And you're thinking, wow, that tiny little thing shot some Earth-directed solar storms? Nope, the sun's fooling us again. These are far-sighted halos, which means the solar storms are being shot away from Earth. and you can guess who that player is that's causing these things to go off. Yep, it's region 3697. This is that old region that gave us that G5 level solar storm way back when, the one that's been hammering Mars as well. And it looks like it might have a companion now, perhaps in region 3691. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But these regions look like they're surviving their far side passage, so expect to see them soon. In fact, as we take a look at the Styx light curves from Solar Orbiter, this is like a solar flare monitor. You can actually see we had an X3 class flare from that region, as well as a couple high M class flares. So it's definitely still big flare players and a lot of big flares going on and radio blackouts going on the sun's far side. And that's what's about to rotate back into Earth view. And again, how do we know that? Well, as we ask the Styx instrument to tell us where it's seeing this on the disk, you can see this as the Styx instrument looks at the sun from the far side. This region here is where it's seeing all those solar flares. And yep, that's exactly where we expect region 3697 to be right about now. So this region is going to still be giving us some trouble, it looks like, for the third rotation in a row, if you can believe that. Outside of that, as we return to our Earth-facing disk, well, we've actually been dodging a lot of bullets. First, we had this big filament erupt here. Whoosh, you can see it there. Then we had a filament up here in the northwest that erupts in another beautiful display. You can see it whoosh right there. Once again, not Earth-directed. Then we had yet another filament launched down here. You'll see it go whoosh right there, not Earth-directed. And then finally, region 3718, bam, right there, fires off a small M-class flare along with what looks to be an Earth-directed solar storm, but nope. That solar storm looks like it gets sucked back into the sun. It doesn't look like anything escaped. So we are just dodging bullets left and right. Meanwhile, we also have this filament here. This is looking a bit dicey. It is passing through the Earth strike zone now, and it looks like it could erupt. If it does, it could very well be an Earth-directed solar storm launch. So that's something we're paying very close attention to. Outside of that, we also have some fast wind from this coronal hole that's going to be rotating into the Earth strike zone here over the next couple days. But, we're only expecting maybe active conditions from that. So right now, field day looks like it might actually be pretty good for everyone. But we do have to worry about these contenders rotating in from the sun's far side. In fact, as we take a look at the JSOC HMI helioseismology far-sighted viewer, you can see in gray all the players from the front side. You can see region 37, 12, 13, and 16, for example. But you can also see in the gold, which is the far side, you can see region 3697 definitely surviving its far side passage and 3691 as well. And these regions look like they're getting very close to rotating back into Earth view. You can see there might even be a new region here that's extended 3697. So we'll see what this region looks like as it rotates back into Earth view over the next 3 days or so, which sadly is right about when we're having field day. So what's likely going to happen is as we move in through the weekend, we're going to start seeing noise rising up on the bands. Hopefully it won't be too bad. Hopefully we won't start seeing big solar flares, but it's going to be close. So let's just keep our fingers crossed. And now switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we are anticipating some fast solar wind from that coronal hole that's rotating in through the Earth strike zone. At high latitudes, NOAA's giving us, we're expecting about active conditions starting around Saturday with up to about a 35% chance of a major storm. But again, this is at high latitudes. It shouldn't be too bad. It's not like any of the big storms, that launch towards us. And that fast solar wind is not expected to really wallop us too hard. So for field day, could be a little bit problematic, but more at the nighttime hours than the daytime hours. And now as we switch to our mid-latitude aurora, well, we're looking for the same conditions. We are going to be on a wind watch, and then we're expecting the fast wind hitting on Saturday. But we're really just going to be expecting unsettled conditions for the rest of this week. We've got about a 10% chance of minor storm conditions, and I've extended that out to Sunday. But again, as long as we don't get any big solar storm launches like that filament that's going through the Earth strike zone, it looks like field day might not be too bad, especially around mid-latitudes and especially during the daytime. Now, as we switch to our solar flare and dayside radio blackout outlook over the coming week, we are sitting around 190s right now for solar flux. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good range. We're also going to be riding possibly up back into the 200s here over the next few days as those old regions begin to rotate into Earth view. Let's hope that doesn't completely happen until we get through field day. Meanwhile, we're expecting moderate noise on the bands. NOAA's giving us about a 55 to 60% chance of M-class flares. This is at the R1 to R2 level radio blackout. I'm expecting that to move at least up to about 65% as we move into the early part of next week. Plus, we're sitting at about a 5 to 10% chance of X-class flares over the next couple days, and I expect that's also going to rise here pretty quickly as these new regions rotate into Earth view. But for the most part, things should be about the same as they've been. Maybe a bit more noise on the bands than you've been dealing with over the last week, but not too bad for field day. Now, as we switch to our radiation storm and polar aviation outlook over the coming week, everything is in the green when it comes to radiation storms. We're sitting at the D1 normal range. That's at flight level 360 for you aviators. This is also the S0 quiet range for everyone else. NOAA's getting us about a 5 to possibly 10% chance of radiation storms over the next few days, and this is because we have region 37, 12, and 16 rotating to the sun's west limb. That always seems to up the chances. Plus, we do have those new regions, or rather those returning regions, rotating into Earth view here as we move into the early part of next week, and that could also very well rise the risk for radiation storms. So expect things to be reasonably calm, especially for you frequent flyers and you air crew. There shouldn't be a huge risk, but you'll always want to keep your eye on those ICAO advisories in case these conditions change. So the space weather is remaining quiet, at least for the moment. Now, we do have that coronal hole that's going to be rotating in through the Earth's strike zone over the next couple days. So aurora photographers, if you're at high latitudes, you could get a bit of a show. Aurora photographers at mid-latitudes, well, maybe right when the influence of that fast solar wind hits Earth, we could get a little bit of a bump up of aurora, but only if you're dedicated should you chase, because it's not going to last all that long. Now, amateur radio operators and emergency responders, well, I know this weekend is field day, and right now it looks like conditions will pretty much stay as they have been over the last few days. However, the tell is going to be whether region 3697, as it rotates into Earth view here over the next maybe 3 days or so, whether that's going to impact field day. You're likely going to notice a little bit of noise on the bands rising, but hopefully you won't notice any big R3 level radio blackouts until after field day is over. At least that's what I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for. Now, you GPS users, well, you know, we don't have a lot going on the front side. We have those R1 to R2 level radio blackouts, but they're not too bad. So that's going to give you some issues near dawn and near dusk. And then we do have that fast solar wind that'll give us a little bit of aurora on Earth's night side over the next couple days. So as long as you steer clear of those regions, anywhere near aurora on the sun's far or Earth's night side, or anywhere near dawn and dusk, you should be pretty good. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
All right, thank you, Tamitha. This is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with a regular Friday night broadcast. Okay, I wasn't too sure about how that audio was sounding on 80 metres. It sounded a bit furry and not up to the usual scratch audio quality that I know that comes from Tamitha's recordings. In fact, the audio over the streams should be okay. Over Discord and YouTube should be all right, but it just sounded a bit furry on 80 metres. So yeah, I have to try and investigate the reasons why that's all a bit odd too. Anyway, having said all that, thanks, Tamitha, and I'll let's just see if I had anything else here. Oh yeah, okay. I'll finish off tonight with a report about Voyager 1. Okay. Voyager 1 is back. Legendary probe makes contact with or from interstellar space. This is published 17th of June. A friendly voice we've been longing to hear is drifting back to us from interstellar space 24 billion kilometres away. Voyager 1, the most distant human-made object to Earth, is once again sounding like itself on the deep space radio network after a after half a year of spewing gobbledygook. Our Voyager 1 spacecraft is conducting normal science operations for the first time since November 2023. All 4 instruments which study plasma waves, magnetic fields and particles are returning usable science data. It's the first time in many months that the 46-year-old probe can share all that is probing on the near-freezing borderlands of our solar system outside the influence of our Sun. In November 2023, Voyager 1 suddenly started sending back random readouts that didn't make any sense to the scientists. The issue seemed to stem from a small corrupted chip in the probe's onboard memory system, possibly caused by old age or maybe triggered by energetic particles in the interstellar space. Because the technology on board Voyager 1 is so outdated, engineers at NASA had to consult manuals from the 1970s to try and figure out the problem. On May 19, the team at NASA succeeded in getting 2 of the 4 science instruments on board Voyager 1 to return readable data back to Earth. Voyager 1 and its sibling Voyager 2 are exploring a region of space never directly encountered by a human-made object before, so missing out on any data is quite the letdown. These probes are the only way scientists can directly study the interstellar medium, and their measurements have already revealed important details about how the solar system is shaped and how far the Sun's solar bubble is extending. And there is a graphic here that I can bring up that illustrates this. I think this one here kind of illustrates it. What it's in a in a roundabout way. They show you a picture of the solar system and the interstellar medium, and about where or the boundary. And where Voyager 1 is approximately, and where Voyager 2 is approximately. It's one of those interesting little diagrams. Yeah, all right. And was there anything else that I had in there? This one, yeah. Didn't I bring that across? I don't think I did. No, it doesn't matter. No, all right. Anyway, so there it is, an update on Voyager 1. Okay, and it finishes here saying that a team at NASA is now working on maintenance to do with Voyager 1's digital tape recorder. This memory system only records 48 seconds of high-rate data 3 times a week from a plasma wave instrument on board. This means that when Voyager 1 loses its ability to communicate properly, all other information is lost. So who knows what we missed in the last 6 months, they say. What a pity. Anyway, it looks like things are rocking and rolling. There is something else here. Engineers predict that Voyager 1 will have at least one instrument still going by 2025. And it could continue talking on NASA's Deep Space Network through to 2036. It all depends on how much power the probe has left by that time. In the last few years, Voyager 1 has shown signs of aging. Apart from its most recent event in 2022, a broken computer on board began corrupting outgoing messages. The problem was ultimately fixed, but it took several days. Even travelling at the speed of light, radio messages from the probe takes approximately 22.5 hours to return to Earth. So there you go. All right, spaceweather.com. This is the current disk of the Sun as we speak, if we were able to look at the Sun through protective glasses. The solar wind is currently at 408.5 kilometres a second at a density of 1.3 protons per cubic centimetre. The current disk of the Sun has 6 sunspots regions on the surface. The sunspot number is 138. and the radio sun is 196 solar flux units. The planetary K index is 1.67, considered quiet. The 24-hour max KP is 2.33, also considered as quiet. The aurora over the Antarctica at the moment looks like this. It's not very strong indeed. It's just a very faint glow over the South Pole, so there's certainly no auroral activity being seen from the ground, I would hesitate to say. And spaceweather.com is saying that there is a new source of flares, I think as Tamitha was saying. Growing sunspot AR3719 exploded on June 20, producing a brief but intense M5.7 class solar flare. Radiation from the flare caused a 15-minute shortwave radio blackout over Hawaii. This sunspot was not expected to be very active, but now we know it adds to the chance of flares from Behemoth sunspots AR3712 and 13. More of these to come. So there it is in a nutshell. As of the 21st of June 2024, there were 2,349 potentially hazardous asteroids, and then there's a list there of them. All right, I think I shall call it quits tonight. It's been a bit heckledy-peckledy. This is VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. I think the streams have held out for the last hour or so, which has been good. I'm still streaming on Discord and on YouTube. Steve also has told me, Mr. 3SBX, that T. Corona Borealis is at the moment 25 degrees above the northern horizon here from Melbourne's point of view. About 25 degrees altitude due north at present. So it is visible in our skies if you've got a clear view of the northern sky and in a not so light polluted location. So there may be a chance of seeing this nova go if it does. So yep, keep your ears out, or eyes clear. Anyway, all right, enough of that. Let's see, I've got that ready. Yes, this is VK3EKH, listening on 3541 kilohertz for any stations wishing to check in.
A3 Golf Lima. VK3 Charlie Roger. VK3 SDX.
Okay, VK3GL, VK3JR, VK3SPX. Is there anybody else there?
VK3TJS.
Okay, acknowledging VK3TJS and VK3KIS. Any other stations? All right, Graham, have a say. VK3GL, VK3EKH.
Yes, good evening there, Clint. VK3EKH and everyone else who's checked in tonight. VK3GL down in Bunyip. Trust everyone's well this fairly cool evening. It's been a little bit cool for the last few mornings, that's for sure. Minus 1.7 here in Bunyip yesterday morning, and I think it got down to a cold of minus 0.6 at some wee hour of the morning this morning. Anyway, there we be. What do we expect at this time of year? I'm glad you mentioned about the winter solstice there, Clint, as well. Today being the shortest day of the year. So as of, I think the solstice was recorded at 6:39 a.m. this morning. So officially from that time, we're now approaching summer. It's on its way. So don't be disillusioned that it's going to stay cold like this all the time. we have got some extra daylight hours now, increasingly to look forward to, and some warmer weather. We can hope, anyway. Probably as of about September. Thanks for the broadcast tonight there, Clint. All quite interesting. Some good stuff spoken about there, of course, as well. And I have been busy at work tonight, so I was trying to take in as much as I could while you were chatting. I did have the video stream running with the 80-metre audio this evening, so there was a little bit of a delay between both, but I did have the video going on YouTube. Your signal here on 80 metres has been quite good, although I did note that just by virtue of the fact of the check-in stations that came up tonight, I've usually hear some of those quite strong, but tonight sounds like they're down a little bit in signal strength, so maybe 80 metres is not in particularly good shape tonight. Well, for me anyway. So see we be. All right, thanks very much for the broadcast there, Clint. May have a brief few words with you afterwards if time permits. But thanks again, and I'll catch up with you in a wee while, I guess. VK3EKH. This is VK3GL in Bunyip.
Okay, Graham. Fine. VK3GL Bunyip. VK3EKH returning. Very good. Good signal from you. About 20 over 9, so you're coming through here quite well, not a problem at all. And yes, you're quite right, the solstice, that moment where we started to head back towards the sun, so to speak, head back to the warmer time. It's all to do with the tilt of the earth as we rotate around the sun. Yeah, so our days start to lengthen again, and yeah, I definitely feeling the cold this year. I think we all are really, but I definitely can't wait for the slightly warmer months to come through. So anyway, another couple of months of this, and I think August is where we see potentially maximum snowfall up at the Alps, and of course the wettest time of the year is around October, November. So there it is. Anyway, all right, thanks, Graham. And yeah, look, I may or may not be around. It depends. But anyway, we'll see. Frank, VK3JR, VK3EKH. G'day, mate.
G'day, Clint. VK3EKH, VK3JR, and good evening to all on frequency, especially to you, Andrew. Your good signal here. Very nice. Very nice. Good copy here. As is everyone else that I've heard so far. It's very interesting, as usual, Clint. I was especially interested in the 80-year exploding star. It's interesting to see what happens when it goes off. And of course, Explorer 1, what a great thing to keep going for so long, even although it's showing signs of aging. But then aren't we all? Or at least some of us are. Okay, Clint, thanks for doing it. And no missions. There won't be missions for some little time, actually. Late at night. There are missions early in the afternoon on Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays usually, for those who are interested. Thanks for doing it. Could you give me a critical audio report, please, Clint? VK3EKH, VK3JR.
Oh, critical. VK3JR, VK3EKH. Well, it's actually a little bit better than in previous transmissions from you over the course of time. It's how can I say? It's not as bassy as I normally hear you. The bass end tends to cause a little bit of not distortion, but it's not distortion. It's just a little bit overdriven in the bass end, but that's not there tonight. So if you have reduced your low end to some degree, then that's what I'm picking up on. The clarity of your audio seems to have improved a little bit. So if you have done anything there, Frank, it's definitely an improvement over previous transmissions. So and I think it's just a slight reduction in the low end that's actually helped. Does that sound about right to you there, Frank? Go ahead.
Yes, it does indeed. It's just a question of microphone gain setting. I think I've got it about right now. Thanks a lot, Clint.
Yeah, no, that is far better. Now that you've drawn my attention to it, even that last over it, I can tell from previous transmissions that's definitely improved for sure. So I would suggest that's keep it there. That's doing quite well. Okay, on the 160 meter missions, not a problem at all. Yeah, I usually listen out to the ones that Steve does in the afternoons. I'm normally sitting on 160 on 1825, and then I normally have a bit of a quick listen around up the high end, and if there's a carrier there or a transmission, I'll stay there for the hour or so. Not a problem. Thanks, Frank. Good on you. Next on the list is Steve. VK3, and thank you for the report on Discord too. VK3SBX, VK3EKH.
VK3EKH is VK3SBX. I listened to the Discord for the whole session today, Clint. It was good. The only glitch there being the audio at the start of Tamitha's thing, which you fixed somehow pretty quickly. Yeah, so no, it's working well. And when you first did it a couple of weeks ago, I thought the video was a bit fuzzy compared to YouTube, but it's working perfectly well at the moment, so it's good. And I can see you in real time there at the moment, so I can see your reaction to it. What else? Excellent. It's a nice 3.8 degrees here in Barringup, so pretty chilly. You were talking about the solstice. Funny thing, I was just listening to the ABC today, and I don't know if you know, but there is a replica of Stonehenge in Esperance in WA. It's like Stonehenge was supposed to be when it was still intact, and apparently it's quite a tourist attraction. Anyway, there's some mid-winter festival happening there at the moment, as you might imagine. I could just imagine some funny things going on in the middle of the night there.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a weird thing, yeah. And what else? Yeah, so, it's the Chinese are going to the moon and what have you. That sounds really exciting, but I wonder if we're seeing the start of another space race. So the Americans are going to be embarrassed by not getting back to the moon before the Chinese get there. I'm thinking that they will be a little bit annoyed about they get there first. We'll have to see.
It's a bit of a worry.
Thanks, Clint. Good stuff. We'll see you again soon. VK3EKH, VK3SBX.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. VK3SBX, VK3EKH. And Steve's report there on the visions on Discord only go to show how as an alternative to YouTube, it is. You're only on Discord, and I'm not really sure how it's working this way compared to YouTube, but the vision delay is basically less than a second or so. YouTube, as we all know, has that 20-second delay from what you're hearing on 80 meters, but Discord's much less, and therefore really a better platform to watch the video side if you're not able to see the Melbourne television repeat, even though it's not working tonight for some reason. It's always something. The Discord HD channel is working quite well, although I've just got to remember that because vMix is working together with Discord, there's audio channels I have to remember to click on to allow audio to pass through. So I've just got to remember to do that, and that's why at first Tamitha didn't come through. But I know what has to be ticked for that to work. Dear. Anyway, but I'm glad to see that the modem hasn't fallen over, despite the fact that I am running the linear. It did fall over when I first started transmitting this tonight, but it's held in there, so that's good. Thanks, Steve. Yes, I agree. It will be interesting to see in what Frank was saying just a moment ago about the Nova in the Carina. Really would be great to have my observatory up and running by that time, by any chance that something may occur. Because my view of the northern sky here is not so bad. I think I have to check the stellarium to see just whereabouts I would be looking from here, but I think I'd be able to see it. Gee, wouldn't it be cool? Anyway, all right. It's across to Jack, VK3TJS in Shepparton, VK3EKH.
VK3EKH, this is VK3TJS. Good evening to Glenn and good day to everyone. That's joined, and I have to apologize. I jumped towards the end, maybe 20 minutes before the end. I had some other things to do, so the signals seem to be subdued this evening. It's certainly, not your usual 20 over, but about 59, and so was Graham was 59, and it seems with pretty good signal, so still was a good listening, and thanks for running the broadcast, and have a good evening and good weekend, and don't get cold or anything like that, and certainly the days will be getting longer and longer. Shorter and shorter. Looking forward to that. Yeah, it's you kind of come back from work, it's dark, and it's not much of a life. VK3KH in the group. This is VK3TJS.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. VK3TJS, VK3EKH. Just check power level 1 and 2 for, it's picking up to 200 on a 4, and I suspect if I just knock that up a little bit more, my modem might fall over, but let's just see if I can take it up to 300, let's say. Okay, that's up around 300. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, the modem's still hanging in there, so so there's just a little bit more watts there that might make things a bit better. Maybe just a small fraction, half an S point perhaps, not even that maybe. Thanks, Jack. Good on you, mate. It's 7 degrees here. I just went and checked the local weather station, and it's hovering around 7 degrees at the moment, but I can feel it in my legs. Across to you there, Andrew. VK3KIS, VK3EKH.
59 watts though.
Oh, okay.
VK3EKH, VK3KIS. Good evening, gentlemen on the group. Special good evening to Frank. Good to hear you, and good to see you yesterday. Pity we didn't get a chance to have any chat, but I got there early enough, Frank. You just finished to get to the club a lot earlier on the days that I do go down. Anyway, not much happening on the celestial side from my point of view in the last week. Haven't had the physical fortitude to go and take stuff outside and sit there and slowly turn blue. It's not my idea of fun, but I should get the equipment out sometime once Jupiter starts coming into view again. At the moment there's not much I can actually view with the camera I've got, which is lunar planetary, so it's not a particularly good camera. I'd like to get a deep sky camera at some point. Anyway, I'll say 7-3. Good luck with the weather. Stay warm. And your signal port is S9 into Ringwood this evening. Usually you S9 plus about 20 over, but you're down a little this evening, so I guess the bands are changing.
Anyway, I'll leave it with you. VK3 EKH, VK3 KIS 73, mate.
Thanks, Andrew. VK3 KIS, VK3 EKH returning. Not a problem. Yes, you're also 5 and 9, peaking about 10. Not superiorly strong, but you're quite readable, so not a problem at all. And I agree. I think setting up a telescope, you got to be brave. I've yet to experience it. Well, no, I have experienced it, but I know what it's like to be out there in the cold trying to look at the sky. And I remember a long time ago now, the Melbourne Astronomical Society, the one does exist, and I was involved with that for a little while, doing an astronomy course they had going, and an introduction to astronomy, and this is around about the early days of being involved with the ASV. But they had, and probably still do, they have a dark sky site about 20 minutes this side of Melbourne, somewhere out in Gippsland, on a football field. And they had numerous telescopes set up. And it was actually the first time that I managed to see a globular cluster through a telescope, which blew me away. But the one remote thing that stood out that night, being on this footy oval in the middle of Gippsland somewhere, looking at the sky, was how cold my feet were. The coldness of the ground was just penetrating through my shoes. And it's the one thing I realised, that if you're going to be doing astronomy, looking through a telescope outdoors, which is predominantly where you will be, to wear footwear that's got thick soles and probably thick woolly socks at the same time, just to keep your feet warm. So obviously the next thing is to have fairly thick clothing too. But having said all that, once I get my dome finally operational and a telescope fitted and it's actually doing something, or able to do something, I intend to do a lot of optical direct observing from inside the dome, because the dome will hopefully keep you somewhat warm. But as soon as I've done my bit for Kingdom and Heaven, or whatever the term is, for looking at the sky directly with my own eyes through a telescope, and I'll be putting a camera on that telescope and doing things remotely. But I still want to tick all the boxes first before jumping into things too much. So I'm looking forward to exploring my Celestron 8-inch telescope, what it can do, and then the two Saxons, and there will be no doubt a few hours spent in the dome on a cold night with a hot thermos for a hot cup of coffee. Yeah. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it at some stage. All right, enough of that. Thanks, Andrew. Is there any other stations wishing to check in tonight? VK3 EKH. Nope. Okay. On that note, thanks, Graham, Frank, Steve, and Jack, and Andrew, and for any other listeners out there that have tuned into tonight's session, and for those that are watching and will probably watch on the YouTube stream and the Discord stream, thank you for watching. A quick check of Discord, and I see that Kim VK5FUSC is saying all good work, Clint, very informative, thanks for the broadcast. No worries at all. Yeah, okay, there wasn't too many in the chat room there today, wasn't there? It's all very, very quiet. Doesn't matter. Anyway, but yeah, Discord is, please explore Discord. Look for the website, type in Discord, and see if you can register. like I say, there's no payments involved. It's just a matter of registering email address and a name and alias or whatever. But the important thing is that once you've registered, then all you do is look for Astronomy Chat Room. I can provide a link that'll take you to the Astronomy Chat Room without a problem. And if I can find a link that'll take you to specifically to the video, the HD video stream, then that'll make that part also easy too. I usually keep the stream running. Actually, I just have there's a 4-hour footage that I've got of flying over the from Earth's orbit from the International Space Station, and I just generally run that with the time indication in the corner so that you can see that it's actually a live transmission, just with some video running. So if you actually see that, if you see the footage of the International Space Station flying in orbit with the time counted indicating the actual time of the day, I'm doing it live. Just thought I'd mention that. All right. Oh dear. All right, look, again, thanks for listening in. Tonight was a little bit all over the place, but then again, every Friday is like that. I am really trying to get this tight. Ever since moving the shack downstairs, it's still in a bit of a state, but we're getting there. All right, so just to recap, the stories tonight were from astronomy.com. The mysterious cloverleaf odd radio circle, which could be a merger of a dozen galaxies, and a distant black hole reawakens, and astronomers are watching it happen. China selects another fourth batch of astronaut candidates to go back to the moon in 2030. And yes, I think NASA ought to pull their socks up and get ready, go back before anything else gets back, and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, and on Science Alert, there was the article on rare sky explosion coming soon, a once-in-a-lifetime event visible to the naked eye in the constellation of Corona Borealis, which is at about 2,500 light years away. And Voyager 1 is coming back online in more ways than one. All its package as a science instruments seem to be reawakening, which is really good. And I think that's all I really covered for tonight, including Timber the Scove. Space Weather Report. Okay, this is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, broadcasting on 3541 kilohertz since 1988, more or less. Is concluding transmissions for tonight. Any information about the ASV, please go to the website at www.org.au, and all will be revealed there. Consider becoming a member, as they say. Anyway, cheers everyone, take care, try and stay warm, and I believe Sunday is going to be a really good weather, so there should be plenty of time for outdoor activity this weekend. VK3 EKH with the K3 CSJ on the microphone concluding. Cheers everyone, take care.
Hey Clint, just before your last over, I didn't know whether or not I heard someone else check in.
I did ask, is there any other stations there?
VK3 EKH, this is Victor Kilo 1 Echo Echo, Patrick here, over.
Yeah, okay. I didn't hear you call in before. VK1 Echo Echo, VK1EE. Patrick, g'day. Name here is Clint, Charlie Lima, India, November Tango. Clint is the name. VK1 Echo Echo, VK3 EKH.
Hi Clint, VK3 EKH. Just wanted to say your signal intensity is absolutely crazy here in the ACT. You are coming in 5 by 9 plus 40. Back to you, Clint.
Well, I did increase the power an extra 100 watts a moment ago, so maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Harlow that's just peaking almost 400. So yeah, the FL2100V is working quite well, I must admit. And it's not affecting my modem. It's really amazing how the chance of RF getting into my Telstra modem is sporadic. But anyway, thanks, Patrick. I don't think I can really confirm the same signal report from yourself, but you are 5 and 9 plus. But I'll check what the actual signal is when I look at the S meter next time. VK1 EE, VK3 EKH.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Clint. Great to meet you on air. I just wanted to know, have you got any EMI suppression on your ADSL/PDSL2 line coming in? Like, have you got a toroid to choke the signal? And further to that, another thing to note is that some modems are a bit intelligent, and if they detect that there's noise on one of the frequencies, it'll actually take it out. So if you resynchronize your modem and you continuously transmit, it'll have a tendency to keep that out of its available spectrum for bandwidth allocation. Yeah, I really enjoyed listening to you tonight. This was a great eye-opening net, and I'm always excited to give 80 meters a try, because I honestly didn't know how well it worked. Not always able to get on. Back to you, Clint.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. VK1EE, VK3 EKH. It's interesting about what you say about the modem. Maybe that's why it hangs in there for the second time, because I'm like, when I first come on, the modem will most likely trip off, and I lose the streams. But then it will take just a couple of minutes before it starts to come back on again, and it stays in there generally for the rest of the session. And yeah, I don't know. It is a smart modem. Like, they refer to it as a smart modem. It's the Telstra Wi-Fi 6 modem, and the Ethernet cable that I'm using between the computer and the modem is Cat 7. It's a fully shielded cable, although that's only as good as what the connector is at the other end that the cable plugs in, and by that I mean that of course these modems aren't a shielded box. They're just a plastic box, and invariably the Ethernet connector is just a plastic soldered into the PCB. Nothing particularly fancy about it, nothing shielded. So if the modem was a nice metallic box with the Ethernet connections being a metallic shielded ones, then at least you'd know that one end of the cable is being properly grounded. But I do have a clip-on ferrite clip-on connected to the cable. Just one though. I would like to experiment with one or two more clip-on ferrite clip-ons. I forget what the name is for them. I do have one both at the computer end and one at the modem end, but probably not enough. The other issue, I guess, is that the computer that I use for most of tonight's the Friday night broadcast, and where all the videos is associated, is right next to the linear, more or less. So a lot of the cabling runs kind of in the vicinity of where the HF linear is. I do have things grounded. There is an earth stake just out the window here, and I've run earth wires from most of the equipment here, including the radios and the linear and I think there might be even one on the computer. I'm not sure. I can't remember. All back to a common point. So there is kind of adequate grounding going on here as well. So the only thing I can really do to try and improve the situation here is to perhaps reroute the cabling away from the linear, or put the linear somewhere else, and maybe bring the modem a little bit closer to where the computer is, so that cable that I've got, that Cat7 cable, isn't as long as it is at the moment. It's actually about there'd be about 4 or 5 meters of that floating across the floor. So there it is. But I hadn't heard about that one, about what you're saying about the so-called smart modem thing, that it has a tendency to, if it detects any EMI on the ADSL connection coming in, that it has a tendency, will have a way of being able to somehow cancel it. I don't know. I'm not sure how that works. But anyway, I wonder if that's actually happening. Interesting. Anyway, it's holding in there right now. Like I say, I've got 2 streams running. When I do the broadcast, I stream to YouTube, my YouTube channel, VK3CSJ, my home call, and of course the Discord channel that I run now too. So there it is. You're 5'9", Patrick. You're certainly not as strong as I seem to be to you, but you're pretty much 5'9" with a little bit of QSB there. Okay, VK1EE, VK3EKH.
VK3EKH, thank you so much. That's a very good description of what is going on at your location. So the NBN produced a document, and this document was published in March of 2022, and it's called Mitigating Amateur Radio Interference to VDSL2. And they go into very big lengths to describe how to mitigate this interference. A lot of it originates because NBN use differential signaling over the phone line. And the way in which the common mode chokes work is by cancelling out this common mode current that's occurring on the line. Similarly, if you're running an NZ half-wave antenna, you might get a lot of common mode current, which is what I'm running. So I don't have any issues with my VDSL2 because I've got twisted pair all the way to the exchange using the Ultra VDSL2 network, which was designed to actually run VDSL2, unlike the copper Ultra network that you seem to be on. What else is there? As opposed to moving stuff around, I don't think too much emissions would be coming from your linear. Like, your VDSL2 modem puts out about 1 watt or so of power over the line. So anything approaching that for interference would cause a problem. So obviously you're not too far over 1 watt of power going into your modem. Otherwise it would be far worse, like you'd have no connectivity whatsoever. So I'd say that your interference is so minor that even if you got a ST240-52 toroid from minikits, for example, you'd be able to cancel that with, say, 12 or so turns on that toroid for, how much is that, 2.5 kilo ohms of impedance on the RF frequency that you're using. Back to you, VK3EKH.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. VK1EE, VK3EKH, VK3CSJ on the microphone. All right. Well, look, it seems clear to me that I need to actually get a at least another one or two clip-on ferrite beads to put around the cable, and I usually use a cable tie to lock them into place so they don't go sliding down the cable. So yeah, I'll do that. I have seen that document. I haven't read right through it yet, but the last time I had this problem with the modem falling over, which is almost every week when I come up on the broadcast, somebody sent me a link to it, to that mitigating the interference. Can't remember who did that, but there was might have been Steve, but there was bits of information, two lots of information regarding that, and VK3 Fox Sierra, VK3FS also has an interesting report on his page, website about ways and means of trying to stop RF getting into modems. So I haven't really followed up on that at this stage. So until I do, I'm just going to continue to have issues here on Friday nights with this, and it's just my own fault not doing something about it. So I'm getting there. I am honestly getting there. Like I've been relocating the Radio Shack. The Radio Shack would normally be in an upstairs environment, and I've been slowly bringing things downstairs. And the operating bench, if you could see this operating bench where I am on YouTube right now, or even on Discord if you got Discord, you'd see that it's in a bit of a state, and I'm not quite set up properly yet. There's audio leads running everywhere, and there's cables running everywhere, and it's just a mess. So this Friday night broadcast I do, it's been, like I say, it's been running since 1988. In fact, if you go to qrz.com and type in VK3EKH, you'll get this full story of what's been going on, I suppose. But every Friday night, 10 o'clock, I come up on 3541, and usually I associate that with video, because a lot of the articles on astronomy have a lot of graphics and imagery and video, and of course there's the Space Weather Woman's Tamitha Scove's solar report. Always like to run that when it becomes available. So there's all that. But generally, like I say, every Friday night, 10 o'clock, I kick it off for about an hour, and then open up for a quick callback, so to speak. So, you'll find the low end of 80 metres always where we are. The home call sign's VK3CSJ, VK3 Charlie, Sierra Juliet. All right, thanks for calling in, Patrick, and letting us know about that, and the common mode situation. And I should read that article, mitigating the article from the NBN, and get a bit of a picture of what they're trying to say, and get this all sorted out. All right, thanks, Patrick. VK1 Echo VK3 EKH.
VK3 EKH, Clint, thank you so much. I'm just looking at your video now, and that's an awesome setup you've got there. Like, I can see so many. Are they old Collins radios? That's fantastic. Much better than mine. Mine's a messy desk with electronics everywhere and spectrum analyzers and the like. But thanks so much for the chat. Really appreciate it. And I've sent the link into the YouTube chat, so you can go there and have a read if you like. Well, I better let you guys go and go on your business. And I heard the tail end of your broadcast, and I found it very fascinating. I've always been interested in astronomical studies, but I've tried to use a telescope before, and I haven't had too much luck in actually being able to see much. I guess I have to give it another go next time I go down to my parents' house where the telescope is kept. Thank you very much, Clint. You have a fantastic night, and 73. VK3 EKH VK1EE.
Good on you, Patrick. VK1EE, VK3 EKH. Not a problem. Thank you for calling in and giving such a great signal report as well. And yeah, look, observing the sky can be a bit of a challenge, and it all depends on your level of enthusiasm and what type of telescope or what you use to look at the sky. Can be disappointing at first, and I think that if anybody was to ask me, what would be good to look at the sky with, I would generally say that a pair of binoculars, a good quality pair of binoculars, would be really the best thing to start out on, to give you a bit of an idea and a taste for going on any further. But certainly to go if the like a normal pair of binoculars, if that sort of like helps your interest, then the next thing would be a like a Dobsonian type telescope, a little, dare I say, but an 8-inch Dobsonian, which is easy. It's portable. You can swing it around at any part of the sky. You can change the eyepieces, and it's not a complex telescope. It's easy to manage, but to go from a pair of binoculars to an 8-inch Dobsonian type telescope, you sort of you're getting there to the next step, depending on what it is. I would stay away from the Kmart specials and the Target specials and the National Geographic specials that you get. Those sorts of telescopes are a little bit. They might look good on a stand, but that's about as far as it goes. But anyway, so it's if you've got an interest in astronomy, it's nice to be able to go down the right tracks first, and invariably joining a society or a local group, astronomy group, is a good thing to start with too. Anyway, enough of that. All right, cheers, Patrick. Thanks for calling in. Really appreciate the words. Excellent stuff, and good that you got the video running. VK1 Echo. This is VK3 EKH concluding for tonight. Cheers, mate.
VK3 EKH. One more thing. I just remembered. I used to watch a guy on YouTube who did radio astronomy, and he was able to listen to pulses and things like that using his software-defined radio. How does one actually go about doing that sort of thing? Like, I didn't find much information on how to construct what antennas, what frequencies he's listening to, or whatnot. Back to you, Clint, VK3 EKH.
We'll be here for another few hours, I think, Patrick. Yeah, look, on YouTube there's a real swag of information about radio astronomy. Anything from the British Astronomical Society with their radio astronomy group. They have some very interesting information and the odd video. To even in America, there's a bunch of fellows that are experimenting. SARA, the Society of Amateur Radio Astronomers, that's a very keen place to become a member of. It's only $20 a year, US dollars, might add, $20 a year for that membership of SARA, Society of Amateur Radio Astronomers. But they have an excellent email list. There's always conversations going on about observations and about setups associated with SARA, and their website is also quite valuable. Yes, look, there's plenty of information on amateur radio astronomy available on the internet, as you can imagine. And on just typing in radio astronomy and particularly the hydrogen line. If you wanted to make a start on doing some hydrogen line work, because these days it's an easier, much easier thing to get into, because of the fact that technology is now making receivers much sensitive and low noise. But if you would ask me how to do some very basic radio astronomy, the thing that I always like to indicate to people that want to start out on doing radio astronomy, the easiest approach to that is setting up what they refer to as a radio Jove system. Radio Jove being Jupiter. Because Jupiter is a fairly active source of radio emission in our solar system, and it's in relation to the moon Io, and how Io orbits around Jupiter. There's like a cone of radio emission that occasionally sweeps across the Earth. And if we're in the right position at the right time, it's possible to detect radio emission from Moon. It's from Jupiter, synchrotron radiation, where electrons spiral along magnetic field lines, and as a result of that, there's an emission in the decametric range of frequencies, i.e. 40 to down to 20 megahertz or lower. Actually, decametric emissions have been detected as low as 8 megs from Jupiter, but invariably around 20 megahertz is the frequency of choice for being able to listen out for emissions from Jupiter, what they refer to as long bursts and short bursts. There is a program that you can download for free, although there is a small fee if you want to open up the full the program fully, but you can still use it as it is. That is works out the prediction times of when to hear these storm activities. So I guess at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that if you put up a simple dipole, or maybe a two-phase dipole antennas for around that operate around 20 megahertz, 20.5 megahertz, let's say. The three things that you can use that system on, not only will you be able to detect decametric emissions from Jupiter, but it's a perfectly good solar flare receiver. So any solar flare activity, and now's the time to do this, solar flare activity, you will well and truly see it on the chart recording. And thirdly, depending on where you're located, if you are in a reasonably quiet area, RF quiet area, not in suburbia, you'll also be able to see the center of the galaxy, of our galaxy, going through the beam of the phased dipole arrangements, as a little bump in the noise floor. So all I can suggest is if you go to NASA's Radio Jove website, NASA sponsored this for quite a while, but just type in Radio Jove, Jove, as in Jovian for Jupiter, Radio Jove, NASA or NASA Radio Jove website, and all the information you need about setting up a system for basic radio astronomy is there. And basically you just need a receiver, one that you can turn the AGC off. The most simplest antenna is just a dipole, but preferably two dipoles in phase so that you can create a beam on the sky. And then you download Radio SkyPipe, a program called Radio SkyPipe, which is a electronic charting program. And at the same website, you can download Jove. It's a prediction program, Radio Jove Pro, I think it's called, or Radio Jupiter Pro, something like that. And that's the prediction program for when you most likely be able to detect storm activity from Jupiter, what they refer to as storms. But that's just for detecting storm activity, decametric emissions from Jupiter. Like I say, the other benefit of setting up a basic radio telescope like that is the detection of solar flares, and also the galactic center, which is where it all started from, where Karl Jansky was set forth to try and detect where noise was coming on to the communication systems that they were using at the time. And he built a special antenna to try and zero in on this noise that was being picked up. And with continuing experiments, he was able to locate that the noise had a celestial bearing, and he eventually realized that there was a sidereal shift in this noise. Every day the noise, the bump that he was recording on his chart recorder was changing 4 minutes every day in its position on the sky. And of course he was able to realize that this noise that was giving them problems at the time was predominantly coming in from the galaxy. And that was basically the birth of radio astronomy. And so that's what you'll be able to use with this basic radio telescope. So again, like I say, just visit Radio Jove on the internet, and there's a swag of information there. They actually sell receiver kits, a Jovian receiver. It's just a direct conversion receiver that I think is available as a kit, or they can make it up for you. But it's just a basic receiver that tunes around 20 megahertz. And the important thing is that you've got a reasonably quiet location where you aren't getting affected by horrible inverter noise from solar panels and noisy computers and TV sets, which is what suburbia is all about these days. So there it is in a nutshell. VK1EE, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel.
Thank you so much. That was a huge wealth of information. Very interesting. Jupiter's emitting signals from 40 megahertz all the way down to 8. Wow, I didn't know that. I wonder, it really makes me wonder if I've got a software-defined radio hooked up right now as my panoramic adapter to my Kenwood TX590F transceiver. It's an SDR RSP2, which I had a look on Jove, and they actually recommend their RSP1 for doing radio astronomy. So how's that? I can see massive broadband static crashes across 40 meters, across 80 meters, and even 160. So right now there's something going on, and I wonder if you would know what's going on there. As for hydrogen detection, that's about 1.42 gigahertz, I believe, which is within the range of my software-defined radio. So if I can make a high-gain antenna, like a horn antenna, like the ones they use for radio astronomy. I remember back when I was watching Discovery Channel when they talked about that massive horn antenna they built to try and discover the origin of all the noise you described. And they thought it was birds nesting in it, and all sorts of things. But eventually they figured out, as you know, that it's actually coming from space, from partially even the birth of the universe, as we know. Thank you so much, Clint. So I've got my SDR phone here. What do you think the best way for me to get started with this? Now, you know I've got this magnificent piece of kit. Back to you.
Yeah, look, SDRs are doing great guns. Yes, the whole technology behind software-defined radios is making radio astronomy much more accessible than it used to be. 30, 40 years ago, trying to do radio astronomy was a matter of creating bigger antennas, finding quiet locations, and having large dish antennas, or an acre dedicated to arrays of dipole antennas that had a pinpoint pencil-like beam on the sky. But receiver technology these days is definitely come a long way, and SDRs are being used quite a bit for observing the hydrogen line. And I don't know whether you're on Facebook, but if you are on Facebook, there's a dedicated Facebook page called Amateur Radio Astronomy, and it's run or administered by a radio amateur. Oh God, I've just forgotten his name. John. Jan. It's like his name's Jan, but it's Jan something or other. Jan, not Jan or anything, but it's the way you pronounce it. I can't remember his country, the Netherlands or something like that. His home location, but anyway, he's got this page running, and there's a lot of communications going back and forth there on doing hydrogen observations for the first time using small dish antennas and SDRs. People are showing their results. They take screen grabs of the SDR waterfall screen or something similar, and show the results. And they're using very modest antennas. In fact, there's some experiments with just a feed horn, a cylindrical feed horn, facing up towards the sky, not even mounted to a dish antenna, and just with the cylindrical feed horn, looking up at a waveguide that's tuned to the frequency of the hydrogen line, is enough for the SDR to be able to detect the faint signature of the hydrogen in our galaxy. So it's just amazing that you're able to detect this really easily these days, whereas back in the past it was quite some effort it was a bit of a hit and miss whether you could actually see anything. TVRO mesh dish antennas is a good one to get a hold of. If you can find a 2.5 meter, for instance, a 2.5 meter mesh TV antenna satellite, an old disused TV antenna, satellite dish, mesh dish, you can utilize that for doing studies or detecting the hydrogen line. And I think you find that Mark VK5 EME mini kits, they have a low noise amplifier, which I think if you talk to Mark, you can have it so that it's optimized at the hydrogen line. He's aware of that kind of thing that's been going on. So it's possible to get an LNA optimized for 1.4. You just have a word with Mark on that one. But that's the crucial thing. I might add that not only is it good to have a reasonable antenna for a start, anyway, for the hydrogen line, but it's the low noise amplifier that's pretty crucial for things to being detected. So the low noise amplifier has to have the antenna connected right onto it, and then the coaxial connection between the cylindrical horn, or even if it's just a long Yagi that's designed to operate at the hydrogen line, the LNA has to be pretty well right on the antenna, and then the SDR very close to that to minimise your losses. But it's pretty crucial to have a nice high gain, low noise amplifier that's doing all the work for you. And these days you can do it. I mean, the parts that are available for low noise, high gain amplifiers are there, and it's amazing what can be used and detected now. So that's just a thought for detecting the hydrogen line. Yeah. anyway, just remembering a few things from the few years ago that I used to do. We have the Astronomical Society of Victoria here. We have an 8.5 metre telescope, 8.5 metre, 30-foot radio telescope up at the dark sky site, and it's fitted with a hydrogen line spectrometer. And a few years ago, when we first got this up and running and experimenting, I was able to point the telescope at various parts of the sky and very, very easily detect the hydrogen nearby in our galaxy. But it was also very easy to detect the hydrogen coming in from the two Magellanic clouds. Oh, I'm losing my speech right now. I'm getting tired. Our two sister galaxies, the large and small Magellanic clouds. Once you point at the telescope at them, you can actually see the hydrogen coming from them Doppler shifted, and it was really amazing to be able to measure that. So it is amazing what you can do. I hope that's whet your appetite. VK1 EE, VK3 EKH.
VK3 EKH. Yeah, I can see the 23 centimeter receive preamplifier from Minikit. Looks ideal. $130 and does 1.2 to 1.5 gigahertz, which covers the hydrogen lines you're talking about. Yeah, okay. Very cool that you had access to that radio telescope back then. Did any of you guys ever hook any of them to the internet, like through WebSDR, and allow people to have a look at the signals in real time? I think that would be pretty interesting to be able to see and compare what the performance is like for a small little one versus a big professional one like that in real time. Yeah, so well, I think I've pretty much run out of things to say. Like you really hit it right on the head there with giving me a lot of information that I have to now go back and start putting to good use. I haven't made anything for microwaves aside from just quarter wave ground plane antennas, but apparently they're useful for putting inside those waveguides that are used on those TV dishes. I'm definitely going to have a think about this. Thank you so much, Clint. Really appreciate everything you've said tonight. It's been very helpful. Back to you, Clint.
Yeah, no worries, Patrick. I'm not sure if you can see the video from me at the moment, but there's an all sky camera. An all sky cam, a HD high definition camera that's running up at the dark sky site in central Victoria. It's just north of Heathcote, and I've got that on screen at the moment. And even though it's a little bit hard to tell, you can actually make out the dish, our 8.5 meter dish at the bottom of the screen. Where it says south, S for south, you can see the receiver cabin at the top of the dish, and you can just make out the dish. I mean, admittedly, it's dark. Well, the moon's up. The moon's illuminating the whole area very, very brightly at the moment. But you can just make out the dish antenna in that all-sky camera shot, which I've got it on screen at the moment. Look. At the moment, there's been some website changes going on with the ASV, and we up at the radio astronomy installation, we had quite a lot of things that were running. We had a radio Jove system operating. There's a Whistler receiver, what we refer to as a Whistler receiver, running. That detects distant lightning static down at around 10 kilohertz, between 5 and 10 kilohertz spectrum, extremely low frequency receiver. There's a few other things like a seismometer and a radiation detector, and of course the dish will eventually, the data from the dish will be reported to the internet. At this point in time, there's still a number of things that are being sorted out. But when I was section director for radio astronomy, our website was aiming towards reporting to the website what the dish was looking at. So if the dish was being used for any particular research or observation work, the idea was to make that data available in real time via the website. And we kind of almost got there with that. But for one reason or another, there's various things that have changed. Other things sort of came along. Computer systems and servers changed, and it's been forever an ongoing project to try and get the data available. So at the moment, the dish antenna is actually going through a bit of a mechanical episode at the moment. And it's at the moment it's out of commission, and until the guys that are up there working on the dish get that sorted out, then the folks up there will be able to get back to get back to doing observations of the hydrogen line and creating radio maps of the sky. So, at the moment, in a nutshell, we aren't really reporting too much to the internet, unfortunately. If you do go to the ASV website, www.asv.org.au, and look under the sections tab, there's you'll see under the sections tab where it says radio astronomy. And if you click on radio astronomy and go to the LMRO dish, what will open up is LMRO subpage 1. And subpage 1 is, I'm just checking it now, and I'm not sure if it's actually doing anything actually. Doesn't look like it is. No. Maybe it's not working at the moment, so yeah, that's a bit disappointing. So unfortunately, there used to be a whole bunch of little icons that used to come up showing the various stages of what equipment is, what experiments are being reported to the internet, and there's nothing there right now. It's blank, so that's not good. Stay tuned is all I can say, Patrick. Stay tuned, because I know they're working on it. For me personally, I've taken a bit of a backseat to the radio astronomy activity. I've been involved with radio astronomy since 1993, and I was section director for about 12 years. And I helped with the installation of the 8.5 metre dish. But in recent years I've stepped down from that, and another fellow is now taking over the running of the group, and I've left it in good hands, so to speak. So I'm just watching from a distance how things progress. And unfortunately, the website's going through a bit of a change at the moment, and as a result, a lot of things aren't really working very well, which is a bit sad. Anyway, there's again some more food for thought. Like I say, if you are on Facebook, check out Amateur Radio Astronomy as a page to sign up and join in. SARA, the Society of Amateur Radio Astronomers, is the next lot to check out. But by the same token, as you've discovered on YouTube, there's a swag of radio astronomy stuff there which you can do. So by all means, the information is out there. VK1EE, VK3 EKH.
VK3 EKH, thanks so much. I've got up the page for the LMRO dish, as it is for you, the page isn't loading for subpage 1, but, I can always look on Wayback Machine or something and see if I can find an archived version of the page to have a look for it. I'll be watching out intently to see what's going on in this space. Been very interested for a while. I've got a friend in Victoria who's also interested, and another friend who's he's very much into his microwave and EME. You might know him. His name's Ralph Edgar. He's from Traralgon. His call sign was, let me just look it up. Sorry, just give me a moment. VK3WRE, Whiskey Romeo Echo. Do you know Ralph? He's been in the space for quite a while. He's an older bloke. He's at VK3 Bravo Echo Zulu, which is the Gippsland Amateur Radio Club in Morwell. And he's currently running the advanced course, it's sort of a course. It's more like a group education session where you read the advanced books and then go through it. You might know him because of his work in GIPS tests on making cheap LNAs. Back to you, VK3EKH.
Yeah, I don't know Ralph personally, but I have heard of Ralph, and I've certainly am familiar with the call sign, VK3WRE. Yeah, but no, I'm not 100% sure on what Ralph's been up to and doing. But it sounds like he's got something happening, which is really good. I know there are groups around that are exploring the area of radio astronomy in their own time and in their own way, and that's really fantastic. So at one stage I felt that the radio astronomy section of the ASV had the run over everything else that was going on in Australia, but no, like I kind of was alluding to before, to being able to do radio astronomy now, especially with the advent of SDR technology. It's now bringing radio astronomy into being able to do easily, and which is really great. So, like for instance, the Mount Burnett Observatory, about 20 minutes from here, there's an observatory up in the hills at Gembrook, Mount Burnett Observatory. They have their own radio group, radio astronomy group, and they're doing similar things with being able to detect decametric emissions from Jupiter, and also I think they're trying to get into doing some hydrogen line work as well. So I know they're active. The Mornington Peninsula Amateur Radio, the Mornington Peninsula Astronomical Society. Now they're mostly optical. No, they don't really. No, I don't know why I've mentioned it. Really, they don't really have any radio astronomy going on there. But I don't know. I keep thinking in the back of my mind that I might approach them at some point to see whether they would be interested in establishing a Radio Jove receiving system. That's probably where I'm coming from. I don't know whether that might happen or not. I would love to actually have a Radio Jove antenna system here in Narre South, but like I say, when you're in suburbia, it's a bit of a trick. The amount of noise, the noise floor is quite high, and if it's too high, you'll be extremely lucky to be able to detect these signals coming from radiation coming from Jupiter. You really need to have a nice quiet noise floor location somewhere out in the country to be able to do that. Which is the only thing with astronomy, radio astronomy. Although hydrogen wouldn't be a problem. That's a different kettle of fish. Yeah, no. So I have heard Ralph and his course. I know about the Gips Tech thing. They're involved with Gips Tech there for a while. Not me, but that they were getting that going. It's sad that the Gips Tech has now fallen over or fallen through, because it was definitely a well attended conference for the weekend, and I always made sure that I managed to pick up the books that were published after the conference, a wealth of information in those publications. But that's another story. All right. I think I'll leave it at that. VK1EE, VK3 EKH.
Oh yeah, so they did publications. I wasn't aware of that. I've only been a ham since 2019. I started operating probably 4 or 5 months ago now, just to finally get into it, because I moved into an area where my house is on a nature reserve in Canberra, and the noise floor is really exceptionally low here, because I've got a big space where there's just no houses at all, just trees and a river, essentially. As for Ralph, he's active. He occasionally shows up on 10 meters, but anything he says that is DC, he's out of band on. So he's on from about 28 megahertz through to 24 gigahertz. If you look at his QRZ page, he's got a picture of his dish, and he's built a circularly polarized feeder for this dish that allows him to do EME. And I was looking at his page a couple of weeks ago, and he's done EME with a guy in Finland on 23 centimeters. I thought that was pretty impressive at the time. So yeah, he's kind of turned me onto the dark side, and now we can see how this will coincide with this radio astronomy. Hydrogen lines and 23 centimeters being so close together, I think that there's definitely some possibilities there. As for the Jove, I'm looking at the diagram. I'm not quite understanding exactly what's going on. It looks like they've got a couple of dipoles that are they're connected in phase, and it's just a power combiner. But this, yeah, I can see exactly how that would be risky in terms of noise levels. I think most people would struggle, especially with the solar panels. Sorry, I did just figure out, I found a nice diagram that explains it quite well. Very interesting stuff. I think that's all I can say for now. VK3 EKH, back to you.
Yeah, no worries, Patrick. Yeah, I'm just looking at Ralph's QRZ. He doesn't really have a whole lot on his QRZ page. In fact, it's sadly missing a whole lot of information he could put there, I have no doubt. But there is a photograph. I can see the picture there of his dish and a couple of masts with some VHF antennas and another high microwave dish there. But I can see in the foreground he's what looks like an old satellite antenna, possibly a 2-meter dish, and a fairly substantial feed horn operating there. So yeah, pretty good. Yes. Well, look, I'm still some time away getting around to having a substantial station here back on VHF UHF, but I've got 2 towers up here, and I'm thinking about with the tower closest to the building here, removing the antennas that are on there at the moment, and putting my satellite antenna up there. I've got a satellite rotator, azimuth elevation rotator. It's been sitting on ice for years and waiting to get around to using. So what I'm thinking of doing is mounting that rotator right at the top of the tower, and putting my satellite antennas on that, but at the same time making or getting a small dish antenna that I can actually place on the rotator as well for tracking the moon. Because I'm a bit keen to, it's one of those boxes that I want to tick in reflecting a signal off the moon, even if it's just a weak signal, a weak data signal, like doing FT8 or WSJT or whatever it is, on reflecting off the moon. I'm keen to do that. I know it's easy to do in the weak signal mode, so I'd like to try and get my satellite rotator mounted high on the tower, so I can not only communicate finally and do the satellite work, but also do some moon bounce as well. Yes. But anyway, yes. Look, there's lots of experimentation to come, but I'm like I said, I'm still trying to get this Radio Shack sorted out. So we'll see. I'm about 3 years away from retiring, so I think once I retire, I'll be able to tackle all this. Have plenty of time for it, hopefully. Anyway, okay, Patrick, I'll leave you with that, all that information, and I think I've set you in the right direction, hopefully, for further research, maybe. VK1EE, VK3 EKH.
VK3 EKH. Thank you so much, Clint. So that's in that picture that you just saw. That is that's got a circular polarized waveguide feed point set up, and it's a weird little thing. It's got two little quarter wave radials in there, and then inside the actual feed horn, he's got a step. So it's stepping down. It just looks like a bunch of stairs essentially going in a straight line down the actual feed horn. And he says that right there, with circular polarization, gives him the right amount of isolation to use just to make EME on FSD possible. He thinks of all the things he's done, that is absolutely the way to go, because linear polarization just reflects in a way that you can't easily determine the polarization. It will just twist when it comes back to the Earth as well, and make it very difficult to receive properly. As for your antenna rotator project, I think that's awesome. Like that's perfect. Exactly what you need for EME. I had a friend in Finland, Vesa, Oscar Hotel 4 Echo Alpha. He had a similar setup to that, but instead of a dish, he had 4 Yazis on 2 meters, and he was bouncing EME on 2 meters, which is just crazy when you think about it. Like, he had to put massive power into that thing to get it to work, but it worked, and it works pretty well with 4, I think they were about 15 elements on those Yazis. They were massive things. Anyway, thank you so much, Clint. It was an absolute pleasure to speak with you tonight, and I'll have to say, clipping trees, finally. it's just been too much, too tempting to keep the conversation going, but eventually one must sleep. And thank you so much, and have a good night. VK3 EKH, VK1 EE.
Yeah, not a problem, Ralph. Sorry, Ralph. Patrick, VK1EE, VK3 EKH returning. Actually, I really should use my own call sign now, VK3 CSJ, on the microphone. Oh, dear. Yeah, not a problem. Excellent stuff. Yes. Circular polarization. Yeah, look, it is important. Because as you're saying, just reflecting a signal off the moon introduces not only losses, a lot of losses in fact, but changes in polarization. So yes, circular polarization is the way to go for doing EME, to try and recover anything of the signal that gets reflected off the moon. So totally agree with that. And a cylindrical feed horn is obviously the way to go. and with the stepped. I'd have to see how he's done it, but I know that if you can machine if you can create a cylindrical feed horn and machine it so that it has concentric rings on the inside of it, that helps to focus the energy into the monopole at the back of the feed horn, something to that effect, at least anyway. I think the basic arrangement is to have like a cylindrical feed horn that's got two monopoles 90 degrees to each other, and it depends on how you connect those two monopoles for it to work in the form of being able to detect both polarizations at the same time. That's one way of doing it, at least. Seems like I've been out of touch of all that for such a while. Doug MacArthur, VK3UM, was into that. He used his 8.5 meter dish antenna for all that moon bounce work, both at 70 centimeters and 23 centimeters. It's a pity that Doug has passed away, because he was pretty much the king of moon bounce at 23 and 70. I think that dish antenna that he had is still standing on the property. I don't think it's being used by anybody now, which is really sad. But Doug was a real source of information for doing moon bounce work. Anyway, that's another story. Whew. Okay, we've got an ambulance going past. I don't know whether you can hear that. Just turning up the mic gain flat out here so you can hear the siren going past. We're not too far from the main street. Thanks, Patrick. Good to... I'm losing my voice. Good to have words with you. Oh, yeah. Sorry. VK1EE, VK3 CSJ. Have we lost you? Looks like I've lost you. All right, catch you later there, Patrick. Thanks for the words. If you're in earshot, you might be on the phone, perhaps. VK1EE, this is VK3CSJ, Echo VK3EKH, concluding on 3541. Yeah, no worries. Right, well, there we are.
VK3CSJ, thank you very much. Have a good night. This is VK1EE going clear, bye.
Cheers, Patrick. All right, let's close the YouTube stream down and the Discord. So, thank you for watching. For those that are still watching, let me just check my email. Last email was from Dave. I wonder if you're watching still. And just checking Discord now to see if there's anybody still watching Discord. Kim, one more check on YouTube. VK3JCW with report 20 plus. Must go now. So tired tonight. Good night, Clint. You reckon you're tired? Oh, Dallas was there. Was Dallas there? Was he? Clint, you also have VK5W Dallas and VK3BA tuned in tonight. Just letting you know, spotted on YouTube chat. Oh, I see. Oh, thanks, Kim. All right. Sorry, Dallas, and VK3BA. I know that call sign. Anyway, not to worry. If you're watching Discord still, thanks, guys. Appreciate checking in. All right. And looks like Graham's not there. 3GL, he must have given up the ghost, so that's fair enough as well. Alright, I think, I don't know, I can't see. I thought I had my International Space Station footage on this here, but it's not. I'll have to bring that up. Let's see if I can find it quickly. Video of my International Space Station footage. That's it there, I think. Yep. Alright. Where did it go? Oh, I haven't brought it across. Okay. Add. Video. Where is it? I'm tired. Trying to find my what's it there? What's it doing there? Okay, this is what I'll end up on tonight. Alright, so having said that, it's a VMix program. Oh, I see. Alright, that's it. We say a very pleasant good morning to you all that's still watching. Thanks for putting up with the last few hours of this, and we'll be back next Friday to do it all again, and hopefully the TV repeater will be operating. Let me just see if I can activate the TV repeater, if it's come good by any chance. So I'm just transmitting on 1255 megahertz right now, and if the repeater has come good by any chance, it'll come up on the screen here. The Melbourne television repeater VK3RTV, it would be coming up by now. So yes, the repeater has definitely fallen over. So I'll just turn off the transmitter and not worry about that at all at the moment. So anyway, cheers everyone, take care, and stay warm, and I will close down with the traditional station close, which is this. I'll kill the audio from 80 meters.